we also have to understand something as well, and I want Imran to maybe articulate this as well, is the whole assumption is that we have to prove God's existence as well. That we like there are existential, phenomenological, spiritual perspectives that are very, very powerful, and always starting from the position that, oh, the onus of proof is on us, you have to prove God's existence, I think is a false position. And we need to be very careful about this as well, because God's existence is intuitive and self-evident.
Yes, wallah. It's not. It's fitri. I think, you know, in the hijab's discussion with Peterson, that's one of the things that came up right in the beginning. Like, you know, and hijab articulated the fitra as well. It's natural. It's fitri. Even if you look at it from an existential perspective, so if you really think about our existence as human beings, we need God, you know, to make sense of reality, to make sense of life, to make sense of purpose, to make sense of meaning, to make sense of happiness. And all of these things are the fundamental things that we need to live, to express ourselves. Far more, you know, fundamental than engaging philosophically and enjoying a nice, technical argument for philosophical argument for God's existence. Fundamentally, the things we need that make us human can only be accounted for with the existence of God. You know, in particularly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and through, as we understand it, through Islam. And this is what I think this is another area people should focus on as well, and look at these things fundamentally, you know, which is what makes us human and what allows us to function as human beings: morality, purpose, meaning. If these are the key things, how do we make sense of these things with God and without God?
So you're saying that we can't make sense of morality and meaning and purpose in absence of God?
No.
Explain that.
It's like you're patching, you're doing patchwork. You know, this is what the existentialist philosophers were doing. And unlike the atheists today, bro, they acknowledged that, okay, let's start by acknowledging there is no ultimate meaning, there is no ultimate purpose, there is no objective morality in the absence of God. If we deny God, we don't have any claim to these things. But then what they did, they spent their time, okay, let's try to build that or fill in that gap the best we can so we can get along, you know, and we should question that. Well, that filling that you did, it's like tooth filling. You know, when you get a tooth filling, it falls out, it comes out after a while. It's just a filling.
So for the brothers and sisters to be a little bit more informed about this, why is it the case that in absence of God, there is no ultimate meaning, ultimate purpose, or a basis for morality? Yeah. So why is that the case?
Because when you remove God, then you're essentially saying everything is a result of an accidental process, right? Everything is an accident. Human life, the world, the universe, the physical laws, everything is one big accident. It just somehow fell into place. The problem here is, if it's an accident, if it's one big accident, then it's meaningless. At bottom, it's meaningless. It just happened.
But what if we just make meaning for ourselves?
Well, you can. That's what they said. Let's make meaning up. You know, let's give our life's Nietzsche did this. You know, his Übermensch, the Superman. This developing your character and yourself after acknowledging that at bottom there is no meaning or no purpose to your life. So make up your own meaning. Firstly, you have to now, all of these ideas you come up with, you should be moral, you should be upright, you should do good, you should be just, you know, and all of the, and even if you define the perfect man like that, although he didn't do it like that, but I'm just saying, if you do that, well, all of these ideas that you've come up with, where did you get them from? And even if you can somehow claim you got them from wherever, well, why do they matter compared to other ideas such as being selfish, fulfilling your desires, enjoying your life because you only live once? You know, why do these set of ideas have any, superiority to these other set of ideas, which, to be honest, are more in tune with the way you should be thinking if life is an accident and you only live once? That's how you should do it. That's how you should live.
Yeah.
So what is that sort of the impetus, the driving factor for you to be moral, just, upright, live a life with purpose? Why in the first place, if life at bottom is meaningless? And they don't want to address that question.
And to make your own meaning up in life is almost saying, let's pretend to have meaning.
Yeah.
It's like children in a playground where they're just playing cops and robbers, right? Or doctors or nurses. It's like, let's pretend to have meaning. And what you said was very profound at bottom, because this is very fundamental, because we have to see what is the reality of everything. What's the basis of reality in absence of God? From a physicalist point of view, it's just all physical processes which are further reduced to electrons whizzing around. And those things, as you've said so many times, are called blind and non-conscious, meaning there is no intentional force directing them anywhere. They're not aware of themselves or aware of anything outside of themselves. So if you add all those things together, how are you going to get any profound ultimate meaning?
Yeah, why do we value things like justice and more other moral sort of ideas? That's another interesting question. If we're just an accident that's come about by these random physical processes, atoms and molecules whizzing around, why do we innately value these things? If anything, that in itself is a sign that there's something more going on than just matter in motion. It's very interesting.
And I was watching very briefly a podcast with Mike Tyson and Bill Burr. He's a stand-up comedian. I don't advise you to refer to that material. There's things that are not in line with the Islamic tradition, but that clip came up, and Bill Burr, he seems like a nice guy from what I saw in the clip, and he made a point concerning he was an atheist, right? Yeah. But when he had children, he changed. Like, there must be something more to it than that, right? So experiences as well open spiritual and existential philosophical windows of opportunity that you could go through to actually start thinking about things much further.